Radical Radio Collective.
4ZZZ. Good afternoon, listeners. You're tuned in to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. This is Eco Radio, Australia's longest running peace and environment radio show, probably. We're taking over your middle of the day, middle of the week airwaves. My name is Dave. My pronouns are he, him. And I want to start off by acknowledging and paying my respects to the custodians on the country in which we broadcast. We're located in the city Mungajin, Mianjin, on Turrbal Yagara Yugambeh land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Cubby Cubby and Yinambara country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay respects to the Quandamooka people, and down south, we reach the Commonwealth, Nigaragwal, Munjali, Wanjerabara, Yugambeh, and Bunjalung countries. Thank you to No Idea for all the wonderful ideas. I always enjoy hearing Max have giggle fits. That's probably my favourite part. But today on the show, I need to get stuck in because I've got a really jam-packed show. I wanted to play an old interview from 2022 that former Eco Radio host Monique and I did with Jacob Birch. Jacob is a native grain researcher and Gamilaraay man. We talk about all the benefits of native grain foods and the importance of grasslands. You know, grasslands are often overlooked as empty paddocks or wasteland, but they are vitally important to all sorts of wildlife. I also will replay an interview that Eco Radio legend Jeff Ebbs brought us with Rob Pekin from the Food Connect Foundation. We talked to Emma Kate from the Food Connect Foundation last week. This week we're bringing that interview all the way back from 2022 with Rob. Rob and Jeff talked about the milling stone that Food Connect uses to make native and boutique wheat. So we're all talking about grain today. So let's get stuck into it. I'm going to just kick off with the interviews. This is me and Monique talking to Jacob Birch. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio. So today on Eco Radio, we're going to be talking about native grains. Jeff has brought us an interview about milling grain by stone. And I'm joined by our very special guest, Gamilaraay man and native grain researcher, Jacob Birch. Jacob, how are you?
Yamagana. How you going, everyone? And Yama Maliagu. Hello, my friends out there. Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we're really excited to have you in today because you're doing a lot of work with Black Duck Foods, learning and researching, making practical steps for native grain.
Yeah, I was doing some collaborative stuff with Black Duck. I'm not with them anymore.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Pretty much a sole trader out there. Doing some sort of academic work with some universities and picking up bits and pieces wherever I can with this stuff. I was really focused on sort of driving the native grain industry with a focus back on Gamilaraay country. Mm-hmm. So northwest New South Wales, southwest Queensland, that's back on grain country. Those explorers, Sturt and Mitchell, talked about those piled heaps of native millet, and they commented on all the vast plains of cut grass and all that kind of thing that was back on our country and our neighbours' country, from Barkindji all the way up to Gamilaraay and across to Cooma and all that, and Gamilaraay, Walwyn, Ngamba.
Yeah, because we'll get into this more, but there was a grain belt by countries throughout the continent, right?
You're talking about Tyndale's...
the Tyndale map, yeah.
Tyndale Arc. Yeah, that was... he spent a couple of decades out in the field with knowledge holders, and from that knowledge I hypothesised this arc where grains are a really important part of the traditional diet. So it's this big arc from northwest Victoria all the way up through like New South Queensland across Northern Territory into WA.
Yeah, it's a huge area.
Yeah, all that rangeland country. Yep.
And we don't see grasslands as being like this important environmental system. Initially, I guess I saw it as being like a empty space, but it's not.
No, we've massively undervalued our native grasslands. Like everybody has, like farmers will go in and put in non-native things. Like, so we have, say, our Gamilaraay, for example, which is Mitchell grass. They've, like the cattle and sheep and all that and rabbits probably too, and all your other invasive non-native species destroying like our native grasses, and then overgrazing, overstocking, and then chucking in things like buffel grass. And things like buffel grass are really invasive. They change the ecosystem, they change the fire regimes, so like fires become more intense, more frequent. And same up north, like in savanna country, things like gamba grass are complete ecosystem engineers. They're changing the whole ecosystem. And like even some state governments are still promoting like gamba grass, and these things are like massively changing the ecosystem, but they're also causing massive wildfires too. Like the intensity of these bushfires is killing everything. And so we've undervalued our grasslands, and like Australia's a grassland continent, really. Like traditionally it would have been kept really open, and all the species that survive and rely on grasslands, like grassland habitats, like right down from like your microorganisms in the soil, to your invertebrates, to your birds and small reptiles, right up to those big iconic species like kangaroo and emu, plains turkey, all that kind of thing. So all relying on grasslands.
I heard that the native grasses also help to get the moisture back into the soil after fire. Yeah,
probably because they don't burn as hot either, so they keep the. And I guess it also depends on when you burn too. And a cultural fire practitioner be able to talk to this a bit more, because that's not my area of expertise. But I don't want to make out like I know that sort of stuff. But if you burn at the right time, you keep that moisture in the ground. Like the soil is still cold to touch, and you can still like feel all the moisture in the ground. But yeah, because they're long-lived perennial grasses too, like you look at non-native stuff that they sort of encourage people to put in the ground. A lot of it's annual, so you go for a drive out here in winter, it's all dead. All the grasses are dead because they're not native. Whereas like our native perennials, they're holding that soil together, but they've got these really big root systems, really deep root systems. So when you do get rain, it helps that water infiltrate into the soil. And with your native grasslands too, because they do support all that biodiversity, like people undervalue also this small mammal species and marsupial species and the role they play in. So things like bandicoots and your native like rats and mice, they turning over the soil all the time, and that also helps the water infiltrate and get into the soil and held in the soil. And then rather than when you get a rain event now, it just hits this hard, barren soil and runs straight into the rivers, and you get all this flooding. And I'm not saying that's the only reason you get flooding, but like there's part of this like more holistic thing where there's a lot of factors that influence things. And
it's such an interesting thing, because the wheat, the conventional wheat, is an annual, so they are constantly replacing these species, these fields. Whereas there was a kangaroo grass tussock that was estimated to be 50 years old, which is amazing
That's
for
incredible,
grass. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the same with the Mitchell grasses. Like, we don't know how long they live for because we haven't studied them enough. But like, I know some people who have been researching them in their early career, and they've been like visiting the same tussocks for 40 years, the same grasses. So it's like an old growth forest, these grasslands.
That's amazing.
And we just don't, like, nobody really, people are starting to wake up to it. And you imagine, like, the amount of, like, climate change is such a big issue. Like, imagine all the carbon that's putting back into the soil.
Yeah.
Is that, like, these ancient, like...
That is such an important point. We often talk about old growth forests here, but we're not talking about old growth grasslands.
Yeah.
No.
That's fantastic, fascinating. That was part one of my interview with Jacob Birch. Me and Monique did that all the way back in 2022.
4ZZ's Radio Reversal has gone digital. Since 2012, the collective have been building a record of radio theorising, organising, mistake-making, rethinking and community building that happens across this city. So, if 1 hour a week isn't enough for you, head to radioreversal.substack.com to learn more about the Radio Reversal podcast, or listen to the full episodes via your favourite podcasting app.
We're talking today with Jacob Birch, native grain researcher and Gamilaraay man. And we were just talking about the native grains in general. Can we talk about the history of grain production in this country? Because grinding stones, bread making, has been found to be going on for 65,000 years here.
Yeah. And who knows actually how long it's been
that's
on.
just what's been found.
That the most sort of commonly accepted timeline is 60,000, and that comes from like Northern Territory, where they've found like grindstone fragments, and on those grindstones they found they were grinding seeds. And that same site they've actually found not 60,000 stratum, but you go through the geological timeline as you dig deeper and deeper, and at that 28,000 year stratum they found like fully intact native rice. So a lot of people probably don't know, but like all your conventional rice is the rice you buy in the shop, or rice that's grown all over Asia, and that Asian minor kind of it's probably originated from Australia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we have like at least 3 native rice species in that same genus as rice. So your Rhiza sativa you buy at the shop, and we got all our other Rhizas. So most likely it came from here, whether it was traded or whether it sort of just jumped across that land bridge.
Yeah.
But like that's for the rest of the country in that grain arc. It's pretty solid evidence of like at least 40,000 years of like consistent usage. And like your earthen ovens that you would use to like cook up all your foods, and that like 40,000 year old earthen ovens as well. So it's there's a lot of like geological evidence, and more coming out as well. So like you look at some of that research emerging out of Mythica country, they've found there like the largest grindstone quarry in the southern hemisphere. So they weren't just grinding like quarrying grindstones for their own personal use. This would have been the centre of trade. They would have been supplying grindstones for all sorts of communities from all around. Like they've found like all sorts of really interesting things out there, like evidence of like water management and sedentary living. Like they haven't fully proven this stuff. They're still testing these. But yeah, this massive grindstone would have been, because you can't just use stone from anywhere. You need that right kind of stone. So they would have been supplying all those adjacent communities with that grindstone, and big trade around it. So it would have been like an economic activity.
Yeah, because the trade has gone on like throughout the whole country, east to west, north to south, these trade lines. I guess what we're as settler colonials dealing with now is, why have we been ignorant to this?
Why haven't we utilised native grains in Australia?
I've been reflecting on this a little bit and just looking at how agriculture is used in Australia, and you sort of hear people say European agricultural practices ruined out, they weren't suited to Australia. But if you look at agriculture in Europe in the 1700s and early 1800s, it was sustainable, and it was small scale. Each family had their own farm, and it was really diversified too, and it coexisted with nature. It's only recently that, especially since that Green Revolution in the 50s or 60s, after World War II, that's when it's really become industrialised. So we didn't even get the opportunity to adopt European practices in Australia. We adopted this completely different thing where agriculture was used pretty much to rapidly colonise the continent in a way, and rapidly grow the economy. So you look even by the 1830s, there's about 15 million sheep across the continent. That's only, a generation of being here, and 15 million sheep eating out all those native grasslands. So no wonder they didn't see any of it, because the sheep, a lot of the time the sheep and the cattle preceded people. Yep. So we're just going through and just eating it out. But yeah, we've used agriculture really differently in Australia, and it's just all about economic, and it's this mentality, get big or get out. Just grow the economy. And native grains just aren't economically viable enough. We've just reached out to people it's just all about yield, and but I think as fertilizer and fuel costs go up, so to put a crop of wheat in, it costs you fuel, it costs you fertilizer, irrigation, all that kind of thing. So, and that's becoming less and less viable. I don't know how much of our nitrogen urea fertilizer comes from Russia and China, or that kind of thing. All this geopolitics and all that at play as well, is also going to impact the viability of long-term viability. But phosphorus is a limited resource, and we're going to run out of that probably within my lifetime or my kids' lifetime. And a lot of farmers are saying because of the rising costs, they're not going to be able to plant the same amount of crops they did last year. So whereas native grains, you put them in the ground once and they're in there for 50 years at least.
Isn't
we don't
that
know.
Incredible?
Yeah. That's a really good point. There's a huge carbon footprint that comes with industrial farming, whereas you're saying with native grains, because they're suited to the environment here, they don't come with fertilising, they don't come with irrigating.
Pesticides.
Pesticides, yeah.
Yeah, it's another big sort of thing. I always talk about in Australia, the amount of pesticides we use is ridiculous, and there's pesticides we use in Australia that even America's outlawed. Right.
I know, we're so...
If you look at America, you can go and buy an automatic weapon, but there's pesticides that are so dangerous that they've outlawed them in America, but we still use them. We put them on our wheat, and then we eat our wheat.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, but what's that doing for biodiversity too?
Insects.
That's
bees.
That's what I say. When was the last time you saw Christmas beetles at Christmas?
Yeah.
And remember, I don't know, as a kid, I remember the smell and just the masses of Christmas beetles. was such an iconic thing, but now you don't get it anymore. I can't remember the last time I even saw a Christmas beetle. And you know what they eat is they live in the roots of native grasses when they're pupa.
Oh, right.
So those curl grubs you dig out of your garden, they're the pupa of the larva of
Christmas beetles.
of all your big beetles,
Right,
rhinoceros beetles, Christmas beetles.
That's a good point. I haven't seen rhinoceros beetles for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Now, the milling of native grains is a difficult thing to do, right?
Milling isn't a drama, it's the threshing.
The threshing.
Yeah, so you harvest it, and then you got to thresh it and winnow it, and then you can mill it. So,
Okay, so what's threshing?
that's where you remove the edible grain from the husk, from like that outer fibrous material that holds the grain in the seed in the floret of the grass. So, like things like your wheat and barley and all that, they've been bred for like 10,000 years. So, they've been bred to release the grain from the husk really easily, and we've got the combine headers now and that harvest and thresh and separate the grain from the trash in one sort of process. But our native grains, they hold it in there, and native grasses hold their grain in there a lot more tightly. So that's the really tricky part, is removing the grain from the outer husk.
On a commercial scale.
Yeah.
Is it easy to do it by hand? Like if I wanted to go make a kangaroo grass bread, could I go find my kangaroo grass, pick the seeds, thresh the seeds, sorry, and grind them into a bread?
No. Kangaroo grass is like the hardest. No. And even like things like your Mitchell grass is super difficult as well. Things like maybe your millet are easy, but yeah, it's you got to find the grasses too. Like you could drive 8 hours in any direction and not find a decent native grassland. So it's actually getting the product and then processing it.
And so the processing will take some time because the technology is not there yet for the native grasses.
To do it commercially on scale, but even if we could get access to the grasses and like start revitalising culture around it, then we can use cultural practices, and at least then we're keeping that alive. But if we want to sort of get economic development, because that's for me, I think that's important, is the economic development as well, alongside like equally weighted with the cultural overarching. But you want people to have meaningful economic futures, and I see this as part of being able to get jobs for people on country that are culturally aligned. So we would want to figure out how to do it commercially at scale. But that's not as super. That's just like a little roadblock. And I was saying to you earlier about like we only can do wheat now commercially viably because we have the combine header. If we didn't have the combine header and we were using technology that existed before that, growing wheat would not be viable. The time and labour required to separate the wheat from the husk and winnow it wouldn't be viable. And an Australian was the one who invented that combine header, so there's no reason an Australian can't invent the next one to deal with native grains.
Absolutely.
That was part 2 of mine and Monique's interview with Jacob Birch, a native grass researcher and Gamilaraay man. That was from 2022. We will be back with part 3 after this song. Stay listening for Triple Z Eco Radio.
Have you been loitering around like a juvenile delinquent? Are you lacking purpose in your life? Subscribe to 4ZZZ and get some warm inner glow.
I'm here with Jacob Birch. Jacob Birch is a Gamilaraay man and native grain researcher. We've been talking today about the history of native grain in this country, how it's produced, how it's made. What is the vision for your utopian idea of native grain production here?
Well, it's more than, just an acknowledgement of the traditional owners, and then let's just plough ahead and do it our own way kind of thing. It's more than just taking something off someone else's country and then selling it out of the capital cities kind of thing. I see like this opportunity to create this like food identity, like this cultural sort of cuisine, these regional sort of food trails. Each community, each Indigenous nation has its own like food story, its own food ways. So here in Brisbane, it's a kind of like a lot of, you got Moreton Bay, a lot of seafood, sort of fringing on sort of subtropical rainforest. If you go out west on Gamilaraay country, it's a different kind of template kind of thing. So it's a lot of grassland country, freshwater river country. So there's this opportunity to develop these cultural identities around or bioregional food identities in Australia, similar to like what we have in Italy or France, where each region has its own distinctive styles of foods and flavours and wines and cheeses and all that kind of thing. So I would see each nation group, each language group, embracing their traditional foods and starting to do stuff on country led by them. So for Gamilaraay, I would like to see our own processing enterprises on country, handling our own grains, culturally identifying those products, so using our language words to identify those products and offering those products to people and the tourists who are coming through those towns, and us back on country, managing country and healing country up. And I sort of spoke about this vision. I did this COP26 talk. It was just a real low-key kind of thing. I was probably about 11 people zoomed in. It was crazy. We had the senior science advisor of Barack Obama on there, and there's 11 people online.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'd sort of laid out this kind of vision of what I would see on country, and I see this, vision of getting land back and getting our native foods back on it, grasslands of say Mitchell grass, vast plains of it, and you can see mobs of emu moving through it, and you can go to the river, and the river's clear and clean, and there's duck nests all on the river, and you can, it's full of fish, and you can catch yourself a yellow belly, and through this land we can start to reconnect people, bring people back home, but also I would love to see cultural festivals where everybody's invited. They do these camp oven cook up things. It's why can't we do something like that where we can have these festivals where we bring everyone home and embrace our foods and do like the ancestors did, and sit down and talk and have conversations with each other, and these things used to go for weeks at a time. Sometimes people would come together for weeks and talk things through and do business and sort out trade, and because we do these kind of things now, we have these conferences now, and it's and then from those things usually there's a white paper developed, so this is like taking it the next step, and it's like having this whole like holistic thing. It's like you're out there celebrating and you're catching up with your family and you're meeting new people and you're welcoming people home and you're having a good feed and you're having a dance and you're having a great time, but you're also like talking business, like what do we want to do next, like what's our white paper of this gathering this year, 2022, what's happening this year, and then next year we'll have a different thing. And
so why can't we do these things?
I haven't got any land. That's the thing, it always comes back to land.
True.
Yeah,
but it's the native grain being grown instead of the other grains that are such harmful processes, and it's the native grain is healing the land, and then having this effect on the rest of the ecology of the area, and bringing everybody back in and creating commerce and family and
it's healing the people as well, and not just sort of spiritually, but like also quite literally as well, like, because that's how I got it started in this space. Like I did the nutritional research and found that they just phenomenally like nutritionally superior to like your conventional cereals, and I compared it to brown rice too, because we all think brown rice is like that healthy alternative. And like, you know, like it's just a complete superfood. And just having a yarn just this morning, just one of my fellow country people, just about like if you just made like a little small sort of Johnny cake, like a little sort of damper cake thing of this, it would sustain you for days if you needed to go like walk into someone else's country, and you could just have one of these things. Like if you wanted to walk to the coast, this thing would sustain you because they're so nutritionally dense and like filling, like full of protein, full of fibre, full of antioxidants, all your minerals like calcium, iron, zinc, magnesium.
I brought up the nutritional info from the GRDC on conventional grains. Brown rice has 7.6% protein. So what does Mitchell grass have?
High 20s.
Wow. There's iron, brown rice 0.8. These are quite low, I guess.
Is that milligrams, micrograms?
That is mg.
Yep, milligrams. Mg, yeah. So, what's that, 0.2?
0.8.
0.8, yeah.
0.8 and 9 for brown rice.
I think Mitchell grass was in the 20s, so
holy
over 20 times more iron.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. What about calcium?
Twice. This per serve, so if you had 100 gram of Mitchell grass, 100 mils of milk, that Mitchell grass is going to have more than twice the amount of calcium as that glass of full cream milk.
This sounds like a potential alternative milk for
that's what I was like, yeah.
I don't know how that's possible, because they always say like, oh, you got to get your calcium from your milk. Yeah. There's grain with more calcium than your milk,
and it's more bioavailable too. So you have like things like calcium, magnesium, is it phosphorus or potassium? Anyway, they're similar kind of elements. So your body absorbs them in equilibrium, and milk's got really low magnesium. So your body will pretty much only absorb to the level of magnesium, whereas things like Mitchell grass has really high magnesium and phosphorus as well. So you can absorb it in better equilibrium, so bioavailability is heaps better.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
It is. It's mind-blowing, actually.
Yeah.
So, Rob, Jacob, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you spending the time talking to us with us and sharing your vision for the future, which sounds amazing.
Yeah, well, watch this space, because like I was saying earlier, like really trying to develop some kind of entity to push this work forward, and I see it as like this research, innovation, enterprise, incubation kind of hub. Like we're starting with native grains, but like I see this as like a real, I don't know if I don't want to like sound, but it like nation building exercise really.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, I think it does. I think it sounds like what, economies could be built on. And it's what, traditional economies were built on.
I've learned so much about native grains today. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I will be supporting native grains. I cannot wait.
How can we support you, Jacob?
I don't know, just watch this space, I guess, and there's just having yarns like this is always helpful.
Yeah.
But it comes down to like you need capital and you need land and you need timelines to sort of acknowledge that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. So number one, land back to Aboriginal people.
Yeah. It probably. It's probably more complex, but if you want to keep it as simple as possible, it's like being able to sort of make your own decisions and have that authority to make your own decisions. And
yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you very much, Jacob. That was my and Monique's conversation with Jacob Birch, a native grain researcher and Gamilaraay man, all the way back in 2022. We will get in touch with Jacob again and have him back on the show. I want to know what's happened in the last 4 years. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play the interview with Rob Pekin about the native grain or the grain millet. But we will play that soon. You're listening to 4ZZZ Eco Radio.
Are you renovating, restocking your classroom craft stash, building a sci-fi film set, looking for an out-of-the-ordinary material to complete your art project? Conveniently located in Wollongabba, Reverse Garbage Queensland is a treasure trove of raw material for every kind of creative. It's like a hardware, craft and office supply store all in one place, at half retail price or less. Add an extra 10% off with a 4ZZZ sub-discount. Everything in-store is industrial discard from around Brisbane, so when you buy something, you're saving it from landfill. Reverse Garbage is a proud 4ZZZ subscriber discount outlet.
Hell yeah, reverse garbage. Recently I got a thick piece of natural fibre rope and I framed a round painting with it. So, yeah, you never know what you're going to get. They are a sub-discount outlet, and if you say Dave sent you, they might give you a crisp high five to go along with your purchase. This month, if you do sign up and want to become a part of the family here at 4ZZZ, you want to become a subscriber, you can do so by going to 4zzz.org.au/support. And this month you can win a Garage Sounds record store voucher for $200. That's a whole lot of money. And you can sign up for just $40 is our basic or concession subscription ticket, I guess, card, and that lasts you for the whole year. So, go to 4zzz.org.au/support and become part of the 4ZZZ family. I also need to say something, just in case my girlfriend is listening. I've decided to start using a password to make sure that she listens to the show. This week's password is Queensland Silver Wattle. Say that around me. I'll know what you're talking about. I'll know what you're talking about anyways because I love Queensland Silver Wattles. All right, that's about time for the Bushcare Roundup. This is a weekly collation of a bunch of different environmental and peace things that you can get around here in southeast Queensland, and the intro goes a little something like this.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup.
All right, for the whole month of July, you can take part in the FungiMap's Great Australian Fungi Hunt. So you can go on to iNaturalist, find the FungiMap's Great Aussie Fungi Hunt project folder, and upload all the fungi that you can find at the on iNaturalist. So do that all the month of July. So kicking off on Saturday at 7 o'clock early in the morning, Kalinga Park Bushcare Group Working Bee, that's happening at Nunda. At 8 o'clock you can go to the Stella Carrington Habitat Group Working Bee, that's in Carina. At 12:30 on Saturday the 18th, you can go to the Documenting Plant Communities Where to Begin. That's at Theka in Chapel Hill. They'll give you the rundown. If you've never documented plants before, you can go there and learn. At 2 o'clock on Saturday, you can go to the Arnwood Place Bushcare Group Working Bee. That's in Annerley. At 2:30, you can go to the Resist Pine Gap film screening. That's happening at Griffith Uni South Bank campus, and that's about the Australian role in giving America imperialist information to bomb other countries. On Sunday, the 19th, at 8:30 a.m, you can go to the Peace Park Arboretum Working Bee. That's happening in Rosewood. At 9 o'clock, you can go to the Springbrook Weedbusters Bushcare Working Bee, Springbrook. And at 3 o'clock, you can go to the DeSoto Place Bushcare Working Bee. That's in Forest Lake. And that's everything I've got for you. Shannon just texted in and said the Sectionals did their music video at Reverse Garbage. It's called It's Good to Recycle. I'll put that on the list. I'll play that next week. Thanks so much, Shannon, for texting that in. But right now, I've got to hand over. To Emmy and Soph on the feedback loop. Thanks so much for listening in today. Please stick around and listen to the feedback loop. I'm sure you will. They start off every show with a Smashing Pumpkins song. And I've taken over the last 3 weeks maybe. I've taken a chance to guess which song they are kicking off with. And today, my guess is Apples and Oranges from the 1998 song album Adore. I'm getting a lot of laughs from next door, but is it happening? Oh, that was last week, of course. Oh, I'm such a fool. Oh, why do I do this to me? All right. Well, maybe next week I can guess this week's song. We'll make that a thing. But thank you very much for listening in today. We were talking to Jacob Birch. He's a native grain researcher and a Gamilaraay man. And that interview came from 2022. I also talked about an interview with Jeff Ebbs and Rob Pekin from that time. I will play that either next week or the week after. But I appreciate everyone listening in today. If you can get out into the bush, do some bush care, or just indulge in some environment. Just sit there, just smell the acacia pollen, or the melaleucas flowering again. I think some melaleucas flower about 4 times a year. It's pretty nuts. But that is everything I have for you. Stick around for the feedback loop with Soph and Emmy, and let's go out with a song. I've chosen the Flangipanis. Karen loves ketamine, but I'm sure it's going to need a language warning and a concept warning. So please tune out for the next 2.5 minutes, be back for the feedback loop. Thanks so much for listening in today, folks. I've been Dave. I'll see you next week.
Radical Radio Collective.
400.